Hi, hello, welcome to my second channel. This is basically going to be the place where I talk all about my business, have more sort of drawn out videos and things that don't really just fit that well on my main channel, Chloe Rose Art. If you can see any mess behind me as well, I'm really sorry. We are in the process of moving, so I don't have a lot of spaces at the moment that aren't filled with boxes and or mess. So I recently announced that I am releasing my very own art activity book. This has been something that's been a year or so in the making now, and I have a lot that's gone into it, and it comes out in December with a publisher, and I just thought this was the perfect opportunity to not only talk a little bit about it, about the process, what it's about, but also show a sneak peek of the inside and answer a ton of questions that I've also received as well over on my Instagram and my YouTube channel. So basically, my book is a sequential story that you start off and you go through the process of the story on each page. You complete the page and then you go to the next page in the story. So basically, the story behind Draw Your Own Adventure is you walk into a bookshop, you find a bookshelf, and on that bookshelf is a red sketchbook. And you're like, huh, everything else is blank. That's strange. You complete the books to be like the spines of some of your favorite books, or you can make them basically look however you want. I'm going to read you really quickly the intro of my book. Thousands of years, artists have abandoned their sketches. Incomplete artwork and doodles are left to collect dust, creative potential with nowhere to go. These incomplete drawings get sent to the lost sketches realm, and if you aren't careful, you may find yourself drawn to its doorways. These doorways are sometimes disguised as a simple sketchbook, and the only way to escape it is to complete it. You have been warned. So basically, it's an entire world called the Lost Sketches realm. You get trapped within the Lost Sketches realm by opening the book, and the only way to get out of the Lost Sketches realm is to complete every single page. So you go through a few pages, and one of them, for example, I have a girl on a swing, and I have a prompt on that page that basically tells you that you need to complete the scene. Little froggy. I love this little frog page. I'm a big fan of that. I put in a lot of things that I love in the story as well, things that are very me. I love everything related to like Arthurian legends, like King Arthur, Merlin the Wizard. I love anything related to that. And I took a lot of inspiration for the drawings that I did inside this book for things that were around me at the time. So like in the UK, I would take pictures of things, or like they have these things called Tithe barns. They're basically like big medieval buildings in the UK. And I took a picture of one and drew that. I have a page with my dogs that you like give them a little bow tie or whatever. But this one right here, this one basically, you get to a village and there's like a little festival going on. You have to complete the buildings however you want. You have to like give the buildings balloons, streamers, party decorations, things like that, and like fully finish it. So I know a lot of people like this particular page. It's like blank enough that you can add your own elements to it. Those are like some more of the completed pages. There's obviously also slightly more blank pages, but none of the pages except for a handful are completely blank, because obviously I wanted this to be more interactive than that. Then you also have things like general regular coloring pages sort of sporadically throughout as well. I've done a lot of art activity books myself, so I kind of implemented a lot of my favorite things. So I have some colorful pages as well where you draw the lines over what you see. So like, for example, I have one that's like, this is the water, what do you see in the water? And it's just basically like a smeary, like blue green, like inky looking mess that you basically have to figure out what you see in the water. I have a page, for example, where I have a mountain that I drew on an easel, and it's a portal, and in order to go through the portal, you have to create the mountain in your own style. So you essentially go throughout this book, completing each page, whether it's you're completing my drawing, you're following a prompt. Some of the prompts, for example, it's like, oh, only use this art supply on this page. Only use this to complete this drawing. Here's some flags. What kind of parade is it? You know, we have pages where you're in an orchard. I've drawn an orchard. You have to make fruit and vegetables that are like hybrids of each other. So I have like a strawberry banana, like it's a banana that looks like a strawberry. I am beyond excited for this. I can't even begin to tell you the excitement of being able to have my own book. I think it's always been a childhood dream of mine to like have my own book. I used to write all the time. I was always a straight A student with English. I've always been someone that's enjoyed writing. It's always been something that I was always very good at school. So I always would write little mini stories and poems and things, but I never like seriously thought that I'd ever like make a book. And at the time, he basically said to me, yeah, I don't really think you have enough followers for any publisher to sort of like take you seriously. And I had probably like 400,000 followers at this point, and I feel like it's kind of sad in this day and age for there to be any attitude of, oh, you don't have enough followers to get a serious deal from this or this or this. You by no means need to have a lot of followers to have a successful book. So I feel like if the quality of the book is good, as long as it's promoted or marketed well, it will do well. Followers shouldn't come into it. I know like the music industry is a little bit like that now, where like, oh, this isn't going to go viral, so we don't want this song. I don't know. It's stupid. I think as long as the marketing is good on something. So a little bit over a year ago now, I received an email, and this email was from Page Street Publishers, and they had basically emailed me and said, hey, we really like your content. We were wondering if you've ever considered making a book. This was the kind of email I was like, okay, this is probably like a BS email. You know, you get so many garbage emails, fake emails all the time. So I did my research before replying, and strangely enough, I realized Page Street Publishers were the publishers of an art book by, I think it's Dana Fox, that I actually had on my bookshelf. It's like a watercolor book where you sort of watercolor like her designs. The book is beautiful, very high quality, and I also realized Page Street Publishers have a lot of different books in places like Michael's. So they have a lot of experience with not just regular books, but also books that you can kind of draw in, or coloring books, or like how-to books. It was something that they had done before. So I replied. Basically, we got the process going. There was a lot of back and forth calls, Zoom calls about what's this book going to be about? What's the title going to be? And my ideas at first were just like, oh, you know, I knew I wanted to do some sort of like book that was in a sense a prompt book, but I didn't want to do a prompt book because in my opinion, Mariah has her own prompt book. Like, she's got a series of them. They are awesome in and of themselves. I do not need to release another prompt book. Like, there is no need for that. So I was like, okay, well, I was thinking about all of the things that I have done over my time on YouTube, like the different challenges and the different things that I have really enjoyed doing. So like one color challenges, I did that a few years ago, and then you can like, I don't know, cover your eyes and put a dot down, or do like a one line challenge, those kind of things that were very prevalent and trendy on YouTube. So I thought, you know, some sort of activity book that like when you're a kid, you get so many different activity books, but when you're an adult, you kind of only have the option of a prompt book or a coloring book. And to me, I wanted something different, like really, really different. Prompt pages, coloring pages, and also a lot of the pages are like you complete them yourself. So I have already begun the art, and you have to complete them based on what I've told you to do. But also, I wanted to go one step further with this and make it even more difficult for myself and add a story element. So I was very, very inspired by Enid Blyton. Enid Blyton is an author of many children's books that my mum would read to me all the time when I was a kid, and when I got old enough to read them myself, I would read them on repeat. She is my favorite author through and through. Her books are just so magical. Basically anything involving going somewhere or something magical has always been something inspiring to me. I don't have the book on me right now because it does release in December, but basically I am really excited for it. I think it's very unique. I like to think it is anyway. I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy this. I really hope anyway, because I did spend a lot of time on it. I'm actually going to get to some of the questions now because I had a lot that I think that I'm going to answer if you have any. How do you start the process of creating your own coloring book? Also, how much self-restraint did it take you to not color the drawings all the way? So surprisingly, the book was so intense, like the timeline that I had to finish it and what was going on in my life at the time. I was more invested in trying to finish the actual pages I was doing rather than coloring anything in. Like, that's something that I'm looking forward to doing when the book actually comes out. But yeah, how do you start the process of creating your own coloring book? Honestly, it was just several months back and forth with professionals that sort of helped me brainstorm a lot, gave me feedback on my ideas. There was a lot of feedback. It wasn't like, I want to do this, and they're like, okay, do it. They gave me a lot of creative freedom, but also they are the professionals. You know, they work through Macmillan as well to distribute the books, so they worked with them as well to figure out like what would work, because they're obviously investing a lot of money into making these books. So I definitely trusted a lot of their judgment, but I also stood my ground with a couple of things that I liked. I'm like, nope, this is what I want to do. What took longer was like literally figuring out the name of it, how it would look, how it would flow, the story, all of that stuff. What are you doing? I'm trying to film and you're being adorable in the background. You having a stretch? You having a big stretch? Oh, you've dropped it. Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're looking for? It's very much me, but also it's a way for people that might have like art block to think outside the box. What age range would it be best for? I have 3 nieces ranging from 7 to 12 who would love this, but I want to make sure it's not designed with older teens or adults in mind. This is by no means like, oh, you can only do it if you're 18 or older. There's nothing inappropriate in this book whatsoever. Absolutely, the ages of 7 to 12 would be totally fine. It really can be as simple or as complex as you make it, because it really allows for a lot of creative freedom while also giving you sort of those limited prompts to kind of help give you ideas, if that makes sense. So you're like, what do I do with this page? But also I'm telling you what to do with the page, but you can also make it your own. Like, for example, I have a page that's like, hey, you see a barn, and I say there's a forest inside this barn. Like, you can draw the forest however you want. You can make it super, super detailed and complex, or you can do like a simple basic tree. It really, really doesn't matter. How long has it taken to get to the pre-order point? Because I'm sure it would have been a while in the makings. Absolutely, yes. So it's basically been right around a year from like first email exchanges to figuring it out to me actually making the book to now pre-order. So I actually finished the book in early December. Initially, it was supposed to be done in September, I believe. Unfortunately, it fell during an incredibly difficult time in my life, and I had a lot going on. So my publishers were very, very understanding of that, and they were able to like push back my timeline a little bit. So overall, the actual making of the book, I had to do it within around I had like 2 to 3 months to do it, but a lot of that time as well I was so busy that I didn't have the time to do it, because within those like 2-3 months that I had, I spent an entire month in the UK. My grandma is unfortunately terminally ill, and we didn't know what was happening right at that point, so we were in the UK for a month. Most of this book was drawn during that time, where I was planning a wedding. I was in the UK helping to look after my grandma while also trying to spend time with her, because I didn't know if it was going to be the last time I was going to see her. So I'd spend like evenings sat with my iPad drawing on it, and anywhere I could basically fit in time to do that as well as finish my videos. It was very challenging. So if I was able to make another book, I would be really excited for the process and hopefully have like more dedicated time to really just like sit and not have so much stress going on at the same time. What sort of supplies will be needed to complete the book / get the most out of the experience? Example, pencils, Poscas, paint. So another question I also had a couple of times was, what kind of paper is it printed on? Is it good for wet media? So I have not seen the specific paper they're using. Now, obviously these are professionals, they are publishers, they have done art books before that are drawn in with watercolor. I don't think it's going to be watercolor paper. I'm hoping it is a mixed media, because one thing I did say to them was I want the paper quality to be really, really good. And they're like, you know, this is not our first rodeo. We know what we're doing. So I've left it up to their experience and their professional like opinions with that stuff. So I can't say for sure right now. Absolutely pencils. I will be able to tell you a little bit more when I've actually got the book itself in my hands. Fine liners, pencils, Poscas, markers. I would be interested in hearing about how you found the process and what makes your book unique to others, and also if this may become a series of books. So yeah, I wanted something that was... Do you see his teeth right now? So yeah, again, my childhood books that I used to love to read, like anything magical, really, really inspired me for this book. But I wanted it to be something unique. Like, I am the kind of person, I am an overachiever. If I want to do something, I want to do it bigger and better than anything I can imagine. So I basically just wanted it to be a combination of things that help me get out of art block, and also things that I enjoy and things that I have done in the past to kind of keep things fresh. Because again, I feel like there's no good art activity books unless you're talking about coloring books or prompt books. I feel by adding that story element, you kind of get the best of both worlds. So yeah, I think the story is good. There's also a little twist at the end, which I'm not going to tell you. There's a twist at the end of the story. If this book does well, I really hope that we can make a sequel to it, or maybe a series. I don't know. Obviously, it's not even come out yet. My publishers let me know that we've sold 100 books so far, which is amazing because I've only talked about it on like my Instagram stories and announced like the cover. I'm amazed that we've sold that many already. This is my first time properly like showing it and talking about it more on YouTube. But when it comes out, I do plan to make some actual videos on my main channel about like filling it and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it does well. I think if we are able to get to 1,000 sales, it's going to be available in more places. So another question that I got quite frequently was, where is it available? So it's available on Amazon. I know for a fact it's on Amazon UK, Amazon US, Amazon Canada. I know it's in a few different countries on Amazon, and maybe also online in different bookshops in different countries. I'm not 100% sure. So it is available online at Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Books A Million. I never thought I'd be saying any of that. That's crazy to me, but it is going to be in stores as well. But the better this book does, the more chance it will be in being in more stores. So I'm really hoping it's going to do well. I really hope so. I'm really excited to see how it's received. I hope people don't hate it. How many pages / activities? I think there's going to be around 80 to 90 pages. I think I did 70 different prompts. It was a lot of work. How did you come to decide on all the doodles of the front page? Ah, they're so adorable. Okay, so yeah, the doodles on the front page are all from elements of the pages within inside the book. I did not design the cover because I suck at graphic design. I'm terrible at it. So basically the publishers put together that front cover for me, and they colored in my doodles because none of my doodles are actually like, well, a couple are on a handful of pages as like examples, but they colored them in to be like, hey, this is what you can do throughout the book. How did you come up with the prompts? Blank pages are so intimidating when no prompt. Yes, this was very difficult. And actually, this is something my publishers were very strict. Not strict, that's the wrong word. They were very good about, because some pages they're like, I don't think the prompt's clear enough. I think we need to have a clearer prompt on this particular page. So we went through everything I did. They're like, I think we should word it like this. Or have you thought about doing it like this? So we sort of come to like, okay, I like what I've done, but I think you're right. I think that I could word it a little bit more simple. There were times when I wanted to give so much creative freedom. I wanted to be like, okay, do this. But they thought it would be better on some pages to be way more specific than I was being. So again, I took their advice on a lot of those things, and we came to something that we both really liked. As for the prompts, I think once I had the general idea of what I wanted to draw, I actually came up with the story after that, because for me, the story was sort of the easy part. It was more knowing what to draw. So I would see things that I'd like and be like, okay, I like that. I would draw it and I'm like, okay, how can I implement this into the story? I wouldn't do it sequentially. I would do a ton of different drawings and see how they would fit within a certain type of story. Some pages I would be like, okay, think of a prompt first, now design the page. You know, like, okay, I want people to be able to do this. Now how would it fit in the story? And it was very back and forth a lot. So yes, that's pretty much it, I think. If you have any questions you want to ask me, leave them down below. Again, the more pre-orders we can get, the more chance it's going to be in more stores, and I'm so freaking excited. There was a lot of thought that went into this. It wasn't just like slapping something on a page. I really put a lot of thought into each page, so I hope people like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at some point in whatever video I upload on this channel next.